What's going on, everybody? In today's video, I want to share with you a simple framework that helped us, at least helped me, automate 90% of the operations for a 100 plus sales team. And be ready because it's very simple and it's somewhat depressing what happens after you're able to streamline a lot of your operations, because you don't need to necessarily be working deep in the business every single day all the time. So I'll be sharing with you the thought process and explain a little bit of how you can, when I mean automate, it's the combination between actually automating with tools like NAN, Make, Zapier, and delegating to the right team members with specific playbooks that would allow you to buy back your time and do whatever you want with it. Either focus on other areas, build other businesses, start recording content on YouTube, spend time with your wife, whatever. So what I'll be sharing with you, it's some of the pillars and the framework that we've used to manage and continue to grow in operations that did $100 million in 2 years. So without further ado, I want to share my screen here and walk you guys through the thought process of automating your sales operations from the standpoint of an inside sales team, right? So if you think about a business, there's fundamental factors that you have to have in place. You already have an offer, right? If you're making sales, you're generating leads. Now, there's a few ways that you can automate your sales, and you can either do through systems and processes of the automation tools, or you can do by delegation. But all of them fall under this umbrella, these steps, because I've been in consulting, and basically the way we break down a business, it's a combination of processes and competent people. So if your processes are not well defined, they're not well documented, and there's no way to generate accountability, you may have the smartest person in the world, but they may not be able to show their full potential, their full capacity, because they don't have a clear structure, especially in remote teams where this is very needed, given that you're not with the person all the time, and therefore they may not be in the time zone that you are in, and it will end up in chaos if you don't have the structured processes they need to follow. So one of these pillars is the structured process, and the other is the smart people, right? Because you can have the best process in the world, but if you have somebody that it's not really qualified to execute on that part of the operations, a small mistake can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, as it did for me in the past. So looking on the yellow blocks and then the green blocks, I'll explain the thought process we use to automate our operations. So basically, in the sales operations, there's some categories, right? Such as the team, the sales team, the operations, meaning like the operators, the sales operation manager, the person that it's going to be tracking the payouts, the person that it's going to be helping the closers resolve any technical difficulty, the payouts that it's the commission splits, is the tournaments you do, it's the level of commission tiers that you have within your team, the renewals, which are the people that once you sign up somebody, right, the idea is to make sure they're continuously buying from you while you get more customers. So two focuses on sales as a whole is increasing the customer LTV and increasing the conversion of new customers, right? That's what we mostly focus on when talking about sales, is how can we make sure we're selling more to the people that have already purchased, and how can we make sure we're selling more for the people that haven't purchased yet. So renewals will fall into the first category that I mentioned. the leadership team, meaning like your sales manager, your sales director, your VP of sales, and then the training, which is the playbooks, the monthly meetings, the weekly meetings, the daily meetings, the quarterly meetings, things along those lines. So if you think about all these factors and the business operations as a whole, if we break down to its fundamentals and we think about business like a clockwork, it literally is a combination of three factors: triggers, processes, and outcomes. Every single step over here, every single little thing requires a trigger to happen, requires a process to be executed, and the execution of that process with the inputs of the trigger, it's going to generate a specific outcome. Now, not all triggers are the same, not all processes are the same, and not all outcomes of this are the same. But the outcomes within the same processes and within the same triggers, they will be somewhat similar. What do I mean by that? If, let's say, for example, there's the pre-call flow, the focus of the pre-call flow, the reminders, if you will, it's mostly to get people to show up for the call, right? So the trigger is when people schedule the call. The process of calling to confirm the appointments, sending SMS, sending emails, and making sure that that person is aware that they have an appointment at a specific time. The outcome is the person showing up to the call. If the person, let's say, the reason why like the triggers, the processes is like, if the person doesn't confirm the appointment, or if the person, says they want to cancel, part of the process is if then conditions, right? That will break down into different outcomes. But the main gist of it is to automate, delegate, and continuously scale your sales operations. You have to think about the things that you are doing, the things that require manual labor in your operations. Break down all the triggers that are a part of those things that you're doing and the manual labor that is happening in your operations. Break down the exact steps required to generate the outcome that you're looking for. And then, having this in hand, you already have a roadmap to start automating and thinking about your business. If, let's say, for example, the triggers that you're mapping are whenever a meeting is booked, whenever a form is submitted, whenever a payment goes through, whenever certain day of the month it's has arrived, for example, you can pretty much use Zapier, NAN, Make to start automating these triggers to either complete the processes automatically through the platform, or create a task template to delegate to somebody that it's going to be account responsible for that process that will generate the outcome that you're looking for. And if, let's say, this trigger is a manual process, excuse me, you will need the person in charge to identify when that manual process is needed, because everything in the business has a trigger. If you stop to think that way, you will be able to figure it out, the clearest path to automating your business. And you can map out the processes either automatically or with a playbook, with a task template, and then generate the outcomes that you're looking for. And what I use personally is ClickUp, because I can go in my inbox over here and I can just review the steps, review the activities that people are doing based on the task templates that I've created, how much time they spend on each task. And for the other types of tasks, I can use Make, I can use NAN, I can use Zapier to automate. Now, you've been able to automate, you've been able to generate an outcome, then it becomes it's not like that you're done, right? Then what happened is these outcomes, they're gonna feed iteration plan, an iteration schedule, because as you're performing these, you're gonna generate outputs. These outputs are, in sales for the most part, they are results. They are metrics, right? They are maybe the number of sales, the number of renewals, the number of refunds, the number of people that submitted the form, the number of book calls, whatever. And with these outcomes, if you're properly tracking the data, you will be able to start generating an iteration plan where you acquired the data, you figured out what that data means, right? Like based on the economics of your business, then you plan how you're going to improve that, right? And then you implement the plan, you analyze the results, you iterate the process, and then you just continue spinning this wheel throughout different processes within your sales operations, up to the point where most people that's working with you in the sales operations, they're so focused, it's going to be to continuously acquire new talent, continuously optimize specific bottlenecks of the funnel, and conduct specific analysis in the economics to identify what are the points of improvement within your funnel. So that's basically the fundamentals on automating a business, automating a sales operations. If you like this video, comment below, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and I want to thank you for watching.